One of the things that I always think about a lot too, because I think that's excellent advice to document everything you're doing, because your boss has no clue and you're doing a lot more than anybody
and you're
realizes.
Feeling sorry for yourself over
Yes. And if you don't have a big list, you have no business going and asking for a raise.
No, I don't want to pay you more for the same thing you did yesterday.
Or less than what I'm actually expecting you to do. But I also see people making the mistake of doing one of these Glassdoor searches and looking at comparable positions in a company and then coming in.
Gives you a barometer.
Maybe I want to see what you're doing. Yeah. I want to actually see what you're doing, because if you've got evidence of all the things that you're doing, now I know what the value is, not title to title.
You're right. You don't want to walk in and quote the average price that people are being paid for your position. That's what you mean by that.
Yes.
Right?
Yes. I'm sure you must get asked this question a million times, which is, I have no money, I have no connections, but I want to start a business. Where do you start?
Start online. You don't even have to have a product. You could have a drawing of a product and sell it and make it once you get orders. I mean, the world is open to you. Everything is equal today. When I started, you needed to have the right competition, the right person supporting you, the right money, the right connections. Today, it's really not worth anything. I hear more people say, how do I get the right connections? I'm like, the right connections, it's not such a thing. Everybody you meet, for me, was a connection. I talked to everybody, but when I was talking to them, I really wasn't talking to them. I was interviewing them. I wonder what they could do for me. I wonder what their talent is. How could I use them? And then I would take them into my firm and employ them in the best use of them.
I want to make sure that as you're listening and watching, that you got that amazing piece of wisdom that Barbara just dropped. She basically said, stop obsessing about connections, because every human being you're talking to is a connection.
You've got the best one on the internet, a connection to the whole world.
Yes. But what I love that you said is, you're like, when we were talking, I wasn't talking. I was listening and I was interviewing them.
Yes,
I'm interviewing them from, how could this person help me? Are they interesting? Are they not? Are they wasting time?
I'm interviewing you now, even though you think you're interviewing me.
Ooh, what are you looking for?
I'm going to hire you as my assistant.
I don't know if you can afford me. No, I'm just kidding.
I can't.
You want to know something? Yeah. I'd be a horrible assistant.
Yeah, you probably would.
No, I would be a horrible
probably not
assistant.
Your skill set at all.
Not my skill set. I'm terrible
but boy,
with
can
managing.
You talk.
I can talk.
I would send you out my Salesforce. You'd be number one.
Probably.
Without a doubt.
Yeah, I would, because I understand.
If you could take the heat. It's a lot of heat in that business.
How so?
You get like 10 rejections for every one yes. And then the most important trait you have is not feeling sorry for yourself. Or at least if you feel sorry for yourself, give yourself an hour and get back up. My best salespeople had just as many leads as the worst salesperson. And the worst salesperson always kept in the house for about a week, feeling sorry for themselves when they lost a good customer. My best salespeople would lose customers all the time and dust off and stand up and get back in the game. And that wound up dividing the people making $3-4 million a year from my average salesman at the time, who's making $62,000 a year.
Yeah, I think in life there's kind of two different types of people. There's the kind of person who gets, in sales, you get dealt a hand, because here's your leads, here's your like whatever, your region, you're this, you're that. And so you get handed cards, and there are people that either bitch about their cards and blame their lack of results on the cards that they're holding.
Boss isn't being fair.
Yes, boss isn't fair. These are bad leads, blah, 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 blah. And then there are people that realize it's how you play the game. And if the cards suck, you got to move through them fast so you can get another hand. Or leave.
Go somewhere else.
Yes. Yes.
But you're in control. You're in control versus the boss in control. That's what fools people. People think when they're working for someone, that is their definition of their opportunity. Their real opportunity is in their own chest. They could leave that day if they chose.
One other question I had, because I hear this a lot, especially with people to want to start a business, or somebody that's trying to reinvent themselves. And they're like, I really want to do something, but I'm trying to come up with an idea. I'm trying to think of a problem. I'm trying to think of a product that's not out there. If you could give somebody advice about how to think about the idea itself, what is the way to generate ideas around a business to start?
I think you could do anything you do in your day-to-day life. Stop, examine everything that's happening and think, is there a better way to do this? Not just by yourself, but what other people are doing. If you're at a local store and it's taking too long to check out on the cash register, or if whatever you're encountering in your daily life, just look at it and say, how could I do that better? And within that are great products. All the great products at Shark Tank are better ways of doing the same old, same old. Even if it's making a pizza pie with a new pizza box. I mean, as ridiculous as it is, I invested in it because it was a better way of delivering pizza. That kid, that's his only idea. And that's what he ran on Shark Tank with. And that's why he's built a business just making pizza boxes. But he was trying to solve a problem better than the last guy. And that's always where you find your solution to a new business.
So, Barbara, what do you think the worst advice is that you could give somebody starting a business?
Oh, the worst advice, the same advice my mother gave me. And yet my mother usually gave me great advice. She told me when I was a waitress, when I announced I was starting my own business with Ray Simone, she said, why don't you hold on to your job? You change so often. You need a resume. Build up your resume. And if you still feel that way in a year, go out into business. But you should have a good resume. She was preparing me for a mundane job. Actually, she didn't know it, but that's what she was aiming at. I ignored her and started my business. It's so sad. I meet so many entrepreneurs that plan their business for months. And the best time to do is the second you have the thought. And the minute you get out in the field, you find out what's wrong with your plan and change everything. But you don't have to get it right. You just have to get it going. And my mother did not understand that mantra. She thought I should wait a while. Boy, if I had waited a while, I would have thought of 5 reasons not to do it. But I didn't wait. I jumped right off and did the business, and I was successful from the beginning.
And what would you say is like the best advice you can give to somebody that is starting a business?
Get going. I give that advice all the time. Even with a half-baked plan, I say get going, because I know when you're in the field, you find out the real plan, what's going to work and what's wrong with your idea and what's wrong with you and everything else that comes out. Because it's the real world. You can't plan things. I think business plans are so overrated, my God. But to plan from afar and think I've got to get it right before I jump out, forget it. It just never happens. You think of reasons why not to do it, and you've wasted all that valuable time.
One of the things you said earlier is so true, and it's brilliant, which is with all the technology and the internet today, you don't even have to truly, quote, start the business.
Yes.
You can create a prototype that's even built by AI. You can create a wait list.
You can.
And so somebody comes to you with an idea. They say, we've got 100,000 people that have signed up for the wait list to be notified when the product is about to drop. That wait list demonstrates if people are interested in the offering, whether it's a service or it's a product. And so that was not even possible a couple decades ago.
Not at all. What really happens on Shark Tank is entrepreneurs will come in once in a while with nothing more than a prototype, and they'll pitch how great it's going to be. They have no proof of sales. They don't know who they're going to sell it to. They don't know what they're going to do with it, but they believe in it. And if I believe in the person, I'll buy in. Now, once they're on Shark Tank, people call in to order. They go on their line and they order thousands of copies of whatever they said. They don't even have it, but people will wait. They say, oh, I'm sorry, we've had overwhelming response. We'll have it ready in 3 months. And now that's exactly when they'll build the product. And their business has started late, you might say, but they had the courage to get out there with the prototype or a drawing or something like that, and people believed in it. And that's a great barometer that they're going to be successful right from the get-go.
How did you become a judge on Shark Tank?
Well, I was hired and then fired before I had a chance.
Wait, what do you mean? Why did they fire you?
Well, they fired me because they landed on another woman. They said they preferred her after I signed the contract, which I reminded them. And they said, yes, but we didn't sign it. I had already told all my friends I'm going to Hollywood. I was so embarrassed. I bought 2 new outfits, new luggage. There I was going to Hollywood, and it was canceled. So I suggested to the producer that all my good luck came after rejection, and I considered his rejection a lucky charm. And I wrote a short, terse email to him and suggested he invite me out with her and compete for the seat. And that's exactly what he did. Thank God.
You're kidding me.
Really, I turned my good fortune around by doing what I did best, what I always do best, getting back up, taking another swing. Just took another swing. Do you know what? The first day on Shark Tank, my producer said, we rejected 42 men that wanted the position in the other seats. I said, you're kidding. He said, not one wrote to me. Not one wrote to me objecting to the rejection. These are successful millionaires, billionaires. That's amazing that they didn't.
You know what I find interesting is so many people are not willing to ask for what they want. And that's one thing about you. You do ask for what you want.
Well, I've learned. Not easily. Not easily. Women have a hard time asking for anything. What happens, I find, you could want to climb a mountain with your team. When the men are halfway up, they'll say, I'm the king of the mountain, and they'll brag about it. Women will climb all the way up, set up the tent, make sure the kids are fed, everybody's happy, and say, I had all the help of my team to get here. Women don't take credit. They don't ask for help. They're shy. What a waste. Open your mouth. My God, opening your mouth got me everything I got. Without opening my mouth, I would have nothing.
How many seasons have you been on Church A? Like, you're one of the OGs.
1,000, like 18 something, whatever. From the beginning.
So I would love to have you kind of put us right at the scene, because every single pitch is a founder.
Yes.
And an idea. And yeah, you got a sales story or not.
Yes.
But when you're sitting there as an investor and a judge,
yes,
what are you evaluating?
I'm just evaluating the entrepreneur. I couldn't give a damn about the picture of the business that they're painting.
Really?
Usually, very often the numbers are exaggerated. everything, you're getting a sales pitch. I'm looking at that entrepreneur and saying, do I believe them? And in most instances, I'm not believing the sales pitch, but now I'm looking at the person and focusing on the person as to whether they're a capable entrepreneur. And what I look for is something